Yeah, anything will work. You're just going to write down quickly on it.
Do they use a whole sheet or can they share a half sheet?
You can share a half sheet. Okay. So, each one of you has an important decision to make today. Today, you're all going to be baseball general managers, and you will have the choice of picking between one of these three players as seen on the screen. But before you do so, you're going to have to listen to me as I describe what each of them brings to the table. I've followed baseball my whole entire life, and I have a relatively good idea of what general managers look for when building their teams. Baseball has evolved from a basic five-tool system to a statistical and sabermetric steering game. To begin, baseball prior to 2002 was evaluated by a five-tool system. In 2011, Dixon Baseball Dictionary, written by Dickinson and Associates, lists the five tools as hitting for average, hitting for power, speed, fielding, and arm strength. Teams were trying to build the most skilled rosters possible through these skill sets. However, the problem was that they often overlooked the players that didn't have these requisite skills, but still performed at a very high level. Bonavita wrote in a piece on Sporting News in 1999 as to what these scouts looked for based upon these five tools. For average, the scouts would look for hand-eye coordination. For power, they would look for bat speed and strong wrists. For arm strength, they would look for a loose arm with good mechanics. For fielding, they would look for good, quick hands. And for speed, they'd look at time at first base. Players were graded and rated based upon these skill sets rather than how they actually performed, so you can see where the problem lied. In a book titled The Five-Tool Player, written in 2007, the author Gala described what players aspired to be as really good at everything, because a complete baseball player can help a team in so many ways. And here are our players based upon the five tools. So, as you can see, the five tools are great, but it doesn't really show you how they perform and how productive they really are. So, there was a change that needed to happen in baseball. The thought process was in the wrong place. Then, there was a change in the game of baseball as statistical analysis was introduced. A team that laid the groundwork for statistical analysis was the 2002 Moneyball Oakland Athletics. Moneyball is defined by Holmes and Associates in a 2018 article titled Moneyball in the Players' Labor Market, as the effects of the Oakland A's general manager to bring statistical methods to baseball, valuing the underappreciated entity. Billy Beane himself was a five-tool prospect who came up in the 1980s. He was a total flop of a player, and his career was a total bust. So he realized as a player that you needed more than five tools to perform at a high level at professional levels. So as a general manager, he sought out to use statistics to build a team. He did this in building a team based upon on-base percentage, how often players got on base. And in doing this, he created a team that had the longest winning streak in all of baseball at the time, the lowest payroll in all of baseball, and a playoff appearance full of a roster what everyone assumed to be nobodies. So the A's pushed analytics on baseball and proved that a team could be built through statistical analysis rather than the five-tool system. And here were some of the basic statistical analysis that teams such as the A's were looking at in trying to develop their team as best as possible. So now that we've seen the five-tool system and the introduction of statistical analysis, let me explain how it's being expanded upon in today's game. Concepts are only being expanded upon through sabermetrics. General managers certainly don't have a perfect model of how to build a team, but they have a relatively good idea and they almost have it down to a science. General managers use a stat called WAR to measure a player's value to their team through statistical analysis, as stated by Larla in his Sabermetrics 101 article written in 2016. He talks about players such as Chris Davis, who had 46 home runs, but only posted a 5.6 WAR, as opposed to Mike Trout only hitting 32 home runs and posting a 9.0 WAR. The sabermetrics go beyond the statistical analysis, and they take it a little bit further. And so here are our players ranked based upon WAR. WAR is an imperfect stat, yet it gives a relatively accurate grading and representation of the player's value to their teams. General managers use statistical analysis to form mathematical equations to grade their teams. In Chen's 2016 SI article, he stated managers don't just simply look at average, but average exit velocity of balls off the bat. Exit velocity was introduced into the MLB through the StatCast system in 2015. And this determines the quality of the contact because average can be a deceptive stat, which was a basic statistics stat, because if players get a lot of weak bloop hits, then they're going to over time have a higher average, but it really doesn't show how productive they are. Versus the average exit velocity shows how hard they're hitting the ball every single time. So the quality of contact eventually will lead to a higher average. So it'll give them a more productive stat over time. And players are now trying to get the ball into the air and hit it as far as possible via launch angle, as stated by Verducci in his 2018 article titled Liftoff. There's more backspin trying to be created on the baseball, so players nowadays are trying to swing down on the ball so that they'll catch the top of it right here, and the ball will spin off and carry more. So this has created a record-breaking 6,105 home runs, 40,104 strikeouts, and a record-breaking 426% slugging percentage, which is the total bases per at-bat divided by at-bats. And then in 2018, an A's team, once again, was built through sabermetrics and was once again ahead of everybody else. The Joys of Summer, written by Basilari, talks about the A's bullpen efficiency and power numbers. The A's were 51-0 when leading after the 7th inning. Their closer had a remarkable .78 earned run average. They were 4th in slugging percentage, top 5 in home runs, and players such as Chris Davis and Matt Olson were amongst league leaders in exit velocity and launch angle. The A's once again had built a team that valued the underappreciated entities and completely devalued entities such as starting pitching, ranking only 28th of 30 in all of baseball in that department. Baseball has evolved from a basic five-tool sport to a statistical and sabermetrics-driven game. As spectators, now you realize how the evaluation of your team's favorite players is constantly changing. Based upon these sabermetrics, I would like you, right now, with your pen and paper, to select a player for your team. About 5 more seconds or so. Just 1, 2, or 3. Just write 1, 2, or 3. It doesn't matter. And if you were to pick correctly, you would pick this player based upon those stats. Thank you.